This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to a new YouTube video. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics to talk about, and that is going to be lighting. Specifically how to, find nice light and, different environments and, what light really means and how, to incorporate it into your work. I think for me, light is a huge part of the stuff that I make, both photography and video. And for me, I think light is really one of the key characteristics of how my stuff looks. And I want to convey a little bit of this to you guys in this video, both how to find light, how to use light to your advantage, and kind of my favorite scenarios and environments for making stuff. Like how I really prepare myself and find and seek out really nice light to shoot in. So without further ado, let's hop into the video. So I think first and foremost, the most important part for me, especially when I think about what kind of light I want to shoot in, is ultimately the time of day, right? The time of day for me is a huge part of figuring out when and where I'm going to go shoot something. For me, I would say sunrise is probably the most ideal time of day, just because the light is incredibly soft, number one, and it's also very directional. Like it's very easy to manipulate because it's not so high on the horizon line. It's very, in your face, either at an angle or straight on. And for me, this is a great way to be able to manipulate light. And the reason that I get up so early oftentimes is because the light is so even in the morning, right? It's very easy to use. It's very easy to, make it look really nice. This is the case with sunset as well. But I think sunrise for me probably is the best time of day for me specifically, just because I love early in the morning, even a couple hours after sunrise, the light is really just interesting and easy to kind of mess around with versus, something like midday or an overcast scenario. It's not nearly as easy to mess with because the light isn't as directional. If you think about the light on the horizon line, oftentimes in the morning it's really nice and low on the horizon line, which creates a lot of really interesting shadows and ultimately creates really interesting compositions and ways of utilizing that light to your advantage. And obviously I've taken so many photos over the years at sunrise, and it's just my favorite time of the day to shoot. From a purely lighting perspective, it's the best light that I've found, especially here in California. The light tends to get really harsh throughout the day, and then, obviously it'll get much more soft towards the end of the day, towards sunset. I think sunrise is ultimately my favorite time of the day to shoot. Once you've nailed down the time of day that you're going to go shoot, I would highly recommend making sure that you understand what the weather's looking like. Sometimes here in California, it seems that every time I don't check the weather app and we go out and shoot, it's usually pretty cloudy. And that's not really something that I anticipate living here, to be honest, because it's sunny pretty much every single day. But obviously, I think it's incredibly important to factor in the weather to the kind of light that you're going to be able to get when you head to a certain location. Just last week, we went to the Anza Borrego desert, which is one of my favorite places to go shoot. And it was about a 6-hour drive road trip. So not exactly a short drive whatsoever. And when we got there, we realized that the weather was cloudy, even though it said it was going to be sunny. That was kind of an unforeseen circumstance. So we've made it to Anza Borrego State Park, which obviously, as you can see, is really beautiful. It's really stunning and very unique in terms of the landscape. The one thing that's annoying right now, obviously, is, as you can see, probably it's really cloudy outside. We're kind of waiting to see if the sun pops over this hill right now, which would make this scene a lot more dynamic and interesting. Obviously, when you have light, specifically sunlight, incorporated into a landscape, it provides a lot of depth and it really makes the colors shine. As of right now, it's pretty flat, but I still think we have a lot of really nice neutral colors to work with. So I definitely want to give it a shot, see what we can get. So as you guys can see from the footage of Anza Borrego Desert, it wasn't incredible light by any means. It was really flat. And, for me, this isn't really super interesting light to shoot in. Obviously, it's something that I have and will continue to shoot in over the years. But if I have my choice, obviously, I want some sort of dynamic light to shoot in. I want that light to be, filling the scene. Because essentially what sunlight really does is it makes these scenes a lot more interesting and it makes it a lot more unique. The sun doesn't shine the same way every single day. And therefore, you're going to get a really unique and interesting look to your images and your footage, depending on if the sun is out or not. Obviously, if the light is flat like it was on that particular day in Anza Borrego, it isn't the end of the world. But I want to show you guys a few different images from when I went to Anza Borrego Desert many, many months ago. And you'll see the difference is pretty stark between these two images that I'm going to put up on the screen right now. So essentially, the image on the left is one that we took from just a couple weeks ago. The light is very flat. It's not as interesting as the image on the right. And a big reason of why that is because there's actually a lot of sunlight in the image on the right. There's lots of color, there's lots of contrast. The colors are really interesting, and this was nearing towards the end of the day, so the colors were becoming really nice and pastel. That's something that I'm, very keen to photograph. I love the interesting pastel colors in California, and that was a big reason why I wanted to go back out there a couple weeks ago. The reality, though, was we went there and it was cloudy. And as you can see, the difference between these two images, which are pretty similar compositions, the color is incredibly different. The light is different. The overall feel of the image is very different. And I would say that the lighting in these two particular images is purely up to you guys, which one you like more, to be honest. I'm not saying which one is right, which one's wrong. For me, I really like the sun in the frame. It feels a lot more, alive and vibrant and colorful. But, as the artist, as you guys watching this, really what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to encourage you to do is to figure out what kind of light you enjoy shooting in and make sure that, you seek that out and you understand how to get that light consistently, because if you want to build a portfolio around all of this work, then really that's going to be the best way to do that. I seek out really beautiful colors for sunrise and make sure that it's clear or that there's a little bit of fog to mess around with and, kind of diffuse the light a little bit. Or at sunset, I make sure to get there at a certain time so that I understand how the light is going to look. And for you as well, you should really understand what kind of light you enjoy shooting in. Maybe you love cloudy, maybe you love sun, maybe you love a mix. It's really imperative that you understand how to get these certain lighting conditions, especially naturally, with nature, with the sun. The more that you can understand all of this, you're going to be able to get consistent results every single time. So obviously, as seasons change, the light will change with it. For example, here in California, the light will look very different in December as it would in July. And a big reason why that is the sun will be changing on the horizon line and it won't rise and set at the same place as it would, in the middle of summer, for example. There's not really a lot that you can do about this. You're just going to have to accept the fact that the light is going to look different in the winter than it will in the summer. It's not necessarily better or worse. It's just different. Especially here in California, I would say that the colors are definitely more desaturated and more pastel looking in the winter, and they're more vibrant and colorful in the summer. And that has a lot to do with how warm it is outside. Just the overall feel of the image feels a bit warmer in the summer. And in the winter, obviously, it's a lot colder. So we actually took a trip to Malibu a few days ago, which is obviously one of my favorite places to shoot. You guys have seen us go there many different times on this YouTube channel. And Malibu obviously is one of my favorites because of the quality of light. And again, we're going to kind of hit this point home of it's really important to, kind of pick your locations and the time of day, and also take the weather into account for, the kind of colors and the light that you want to be shooting in. And for me, Malibu really kind of hits home a lot of these key components for being able to take a great picture. We went to Malibu both for sunrise and sunset, and the difference honestly wasn't super massive. I would say the main difference was when we went there for sunrise, the light was getting brighter. When we went there for sunset, it was getting a lot darker. But when we went there for sunset, what I thought was really interesting was there was a lot of clouds to work with. This is the most ideal situation for me to take pictures or shoot video in. And a big reason why that is, honestly, is because the clouds provide a really interesting layer of diffusion, and the sun is oftentimes going in and out of these clouds. This isn't super consistent. The light is going to change quite a bit throughout, the time that you're at a specific location. But for me, I love being able to mess around and just, kind of try to manipulate the light and see what it kind of does in the sky. Is it going to be cloudy for a second? Is the sun going to burst through? Is it going to be kind of diffused by the actual clouds and just give a really nice soft look? I love all of this, and this is, probably my favorite kind of environment to shoot in. But oftentimes you can't really control if there's clouds or not, and sometimes there's too many clouds, like there was in the desert, or maybe there's not enough and the sun is really bright and hard to manipulate because it's just right overhead. And I think really all of this information just goes to show that the more time and effort that you take to, put into your locations and understand really where the light is coming from and how you want it to look in your frame, the more you can interpret it and really kind of get a lot more consistent with the kind of light that you want to be shooting in. Obviously, you can use many different types of artificial lighting, but for me, I like to shoot as naturally as possible. And the more that you understand really the kinds of locations that you need to go to in order to get the kind of lighting results that you want, you're going to be a lot happier, obviously, in the long run, because you can create a consistent body of work that has really nice, similar lighting. And overall, you're just going to be a lot happier because you're getting the results that you want. So that's kind of all for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions. Obviously, I love talking about light and different locations. If you guys live in California or you're visiting California in the future, I would highly recommend both Anza, Borrego Desert and really the whole Malibu coast. Both of those locations are extremely beautiful and obviously have great sunrises and sunsets. So with all that being said, we'll see you guys next week. Peace. Before before this video does wrap up, I did want to thank today's sponsor, which is Squarespace, for sponsoring today's episode. As you guys might know, Squarespace has been a longtime supporter of this YouTube channel, and I can't thank them enough for their continued support of my photography and my filmmaking and my creative endeavors in general. I've been using Squarespace as a customer for just over 3 years now, and I can't say enough great things about how easy their platform is to use. I've just found it's the best and most simple way to make a great website for me to display my work for clients to see. Now, I use my website mainly as a photography portfolio, and I've found that the selection of themes really complement the imagery, and I find it nice and easy to navigate the different panels and really kind of personalize the website to make it mine. In addition to all of this, Squarespace does offer 24/7 customer support for all of your questions and tons of really nice customizable layout and theme options to really make your website stand out. If you guys are interested in checking out Squarespace for yourself, go to squarespace.com/SamuelElkins, which is in the description, to get 10% off your first website or domain purchase. Thank you so much as always for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next week. Peace. So originally this video was actually just going to be really simple. I was just going to bring you guys along on a kind of road trip photo shoot, and I was really excited. We were out here in the desert, one of my favorite areas, and turns out the light just kind of sucks today. It's really cloudy and very overcast. There's not a lot of really interesting patches of light to work with, which obviously is something that I love to do. But instead of scrapping that video, I wanted to kind of make this into a larger video, kind of encompassing light and why light is so important in photography. The different kinds of light that you might find and encounter when you are taking photos, and also finally, how to manipulate that light to your advantage as a photographer. So, pretty excited to dive in, but for now, I got a 4-hour drive home and some cloudy skies.